Good day. I recall us meeting as a local leadership team to discuss the then threat of Tropical Storm Dorian. How far away those days seemed to us. The Sunday before the storm hit, we would have locked down at our customer operations and our energy site to prepare to ride out the storm. I recall looking at the folks that were riding out the storm as we saw the horror and the carnage that was happening to Abaco, and looking at each other and thinking, this is headed towards us next. It was very sobering, but the team remained calm and the team remained focused. We then started getting reports of what was happening to our colleagues and our loved ones. People were losing homes. We had employees crying to be rescued on top of roofs, clinging to their children for hours in the elements, with nothing but the faith and the hope that somebody would come for them. It was then that we decided that the first thing that we needed to do as a company was do a critical assessment of our most valuable asset, our people. The first day after the storm, we had a safety check-in. It was very emotional, to say the least. But it was then that we truly began to see the total loss and devastation that this hurricane brought. We had over 19 employees that lost their homes and all of their assets. Even worse, we had employees that lost siblings and very close loved ones and family members. We looked at each other and we made a very promise as we were embracing each other and there were tears, and we said to each other, this restoration would not be about poles and equipment and lines for us. This would be about people. We made a commitment because we live here, we work here, this is our home, and we would do what we needed to do. And in the words of Tony Lopez, our CFO, this is just what we do. The next day, those employees came, even though we told some of them to stay home to deal with their traumas. And I said, as we were walking past, we were asking each other, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And the answer was always the same for every day of that restoration. We're here because we're going to light this island up. We started to take an assessment of what happened to our other assets, equipment, buildings. We saw, like most of you saw, unprecedented storm levels and surge that did a lot of damage to our assets. Our headquarters, our Peel Street plant, which is about half of our generating capacity, 4 of our substations, 2 of which saw water levels over 3 feet. We lost our vehicle fleet, a large portion of our equipment and inventory. We lost our command center, the generator that we needed to power that command center. We lost our computers, our technology. We lost our network. We lost a lot. We decided as a team that we were going to keep pushing because we owed our company, we owed our family members, and we owed this island to not give up. We met outside, and that became our new command center. I would like to really give recognition to the core operations team that led this restoration, Nikita Mullings, Jarrett Moss, Anthony Ford. We sat outside, sometimes in the rain, and we started drawing up the intricate plans that we needed to do the switching and the restoration plans to restore this island. We used the only 3 pieces of equipment that we could salvage: pen, paper, and highlighters. We reached out to our industrial partners for vehicles and equipment that we would need it to begin because, again, we had lost all of our equipment. And special recognition to Borco, Pharmachem, Polymers, Shipyard, Container Port. Please forgive me if I forgot anybody. And using borrowed equipment and vehicles and a team of 100% local Bahamians, we began what looked like a very daunting and challenging task. Within 5 days of being hit with this storm, that same local Bahamian team was able to energize the first 3,000 customers. I can't tell you what that light did to us because it was more about just the fact that we were able to turn on our grid. We looked at that as a light of hope. Very shortly afterward, we were joined by our affiliates, TECO and Pike, and by September 19th, we'd restored 90% of the homes that were deemed safe for energy. Again, I know that I might have been a pain for building it technical, but Kira and Troy and Donovan and their team worked so hard to help us with the inspections along with the Ministry of Works, because every day the mantra was still the same for the power company: we need to light this place up. Today, we have restored power to about 15,700 of our customers. The pre-Dorian totals were about 19,000. Despite the small, isolated packages that we're still dealing with, 7 days a week we're working, the majority of those homes were indeed 3,000 residents, 400 businesses that suffered, I think based on the projections that we saw, some level of damage where they're not safe to energize. We'll continue to work with those teams make sure that as soon as we get those inspections, working with the relevant government agencies to restore power as quickly and safely as we can. But again, I just want to pause to stop and think that one of the things that really took us through what everybody knew was a traumatic event was the resilience of the Grand Bahamian people, the private sectors, the public sectors, the everyday citizens that did what they had to do to help bring and rebuild this island. And we're grateful, and that's what we use to inspire us to keep doing what we do. Thank you.